All right, so a few problems off of the study guide that I think are ace problems that we really want to do. Uh, I'm going to be doing number 10, number 13, and I'm going to be doing number 19 in this video. These are the ones that I get the most questions about. I think are the like cream of the crop of the study guide. All of them are good problems, but these ones I really want to highlight. So I'm going to start with number 10. My job is to try to simplify this as much as possible. Um, so the first thing I would like to do is get everybody sine and cosine. That's always a good trick to start out with. So I'm going to my identity sheet, and I see that I got a cosecant there. So I know cosecants are up here in our reciprocals. So here's one right here. So 1 over sine. So I'll use that to replace cosecant. So instead of that cosecant, we'll do 1 over sine theta. All right, so we got sine there. I've still got a tangent though. I want to get rid of that tangent. So I've got a one right here. I've got 1 over cotangent. I want them sine and cosine. So I'm going to do this one, sine theta over cosine theta. All right, so we'll swap that out. So sine theta over cosine theta. All right, so now everybody's sine and cosine. I want to try to simplify this down. So I'm going to do a little distribution. So this gets us 1 times sine, so that's sine theta over sine theta cosine theta minus, and then when we multiply this one, we get 1 times sine, so that's sine theta over sine theta. Well, hey, this is just 1. And then this piece over here, those two cancel each other out. So we're left with just a cosine theta minus 1. Now that looks really super close to the thing that we've got on here. It looks really, really close to that, but they're in the opposite order, and we don't have the squared, so that's kind of it. We can't really do anything else. So we're done. That problem's done. All set. All right. So with this problem, I want to do number 13. Number 13 is asked about a lot. So I want to do that one. So I'm looking at that thing and I'm like, ugh, pi over 12s, and there's a lot of them. Gross. So I don't want to like try to figure out what each one of those things are. So this is one of those cases where I've got a big mess of stuff and it's going to honk really quickly. So I go to my identity sheet and I try to find something that looks like that. So if I scroll up, it's like, oh, that's not nearly complicated enough. It's nothing like that. Nope, don't use that. Okay, so let's take a look down here. Ooh, this is starting to look. Ooh, look at this! Look at this! Look at this! Right here, we've got 2 tangents being added together, and then this 1 minus, and then 2 more tangents. That's matching up. So this pi over 12, that's kind of our alpha, and this is the beta, and then here's another beta and alpha. So it's matching up with this thing. So instead of doing all of this garbage, we can just do this little thing. So that problem becomes this side of the equation. So that sounds great. Let's do that. So we get the tangent of alpha plus beta, which in this case is pi over 12, plus 9 pi over 12. And that whole problem has been reduced to just that. Well, hey, I can add those 2 fractions together now. Pi over 12, if I've got a 1 pi over 12 and 9 more pi's over 12, that means we've got 10 pi's over 12. Oh, and then that fraction simplifies. So then we get the tangent of, instead of 10 over 12, that's 5 over 12. 5 over 12, 5 over 6. Ugh. I always look at my little camera like I'm trying to talk to somebody because it's weird talking in a room by myself. So whenever I look like this, I'm actually like looking at the little camera in the camera. Whatever. All right, so tangent of 5 pi over 6. I want to figure out what that is. That was something on the oral exam. So pi over 6, that is 6 is 3 plus 3. So I know it's going to be the square root of 3 over 3. 5 pi over 6, that's in quadrant 2, where tangent is negative. So my answer is negative square root of 3 over 3. Done. Yeah, that's it for that one. Last question that I'm going to do is this one. This one's weird. We've got a half angle and we've got a negative inside of there. So the first thing I want to do is I don't want to deal with that negative. And then the second thing I'm going to deal with is the idea that it's a half angle. So I hate that negative. So I go to that identity sheet and I take a look around and I want something with negatives. And I know that's somewhere on the front. So I'm going to go to the front part of it. Oh, here, right here. So these are sneaky little tricks that you can do with negatives. Apparently, if we've got a negative in front of sign, we can just pull that negative in front. It works out the same for tangent. You can just pull the sign into the front. So instead of having that negative 22 and a half, we can make it a positive 22 and a half. And then just pull this negative into the front. So whatever answer we get, we're just going to slap a negative onto the front of it. Now, I was just told that it was half angle, so I want to keep that half angle idea. So let's go back to our identity sheet. Half angles. Here we go. Half angle. Sine half angle is plus or minus the square root of 1 minus cosine theta over 2. Okay, so we want all that stuff. And I also got to figure out, okay, what divided by 2 is 22 and a half? 45. So this is going to become negative sine of 45 over 2 equals negative some stuff. There's all that stuff. I've got the plus or minus 1 minus cosine, so I copied that off of my identity sheet. So here's this piece. I just copied that in. So I got the plus or minus in front. I've got this negative because of this negative that I've got over here. And then I've got 45 right there. So I want to put 45 right here as well. Now let's decide that positive or negative right here. And since I've already taken out the negative, the thing I want to check is where is 22 and a half? I don't care where 45 is, I care where 22 and a half is. 22 and a half is in quadrant 1, where sign is positive. So I'm going to use the positive case. However, there's also this blue negative from the negative we pulled out earlier, so we are going to get a negative answer for this one. The reason I still wanted to check that is I could have gotten a negative negative, and then this down here could have been positive. So we're going to net a negative answer. So whatever I get, I know it's going to be negative. Now, inside of the square root, we've got the cosine of 45. Cosine of 45 degrees is square root of 2 over 2. Hey, get out of there. Square root of 2 over 2. Oh, I want to simplify that, so I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 2 of that fraction. So we get square root of 2 minus the square root of 2 over 4. That's all getting square rooted, so I want to simplify that as much as I can. So in the numerator, we get that weird square root inside of a square root thing. Can't do anything with that. We're just going to leave that alone. In the denominator, I want to square root 4, and that's 2. And that's it. Since we got a nice rational number, 2, in our denominator, we're all set. We don't have to do any more simplification. So those are my ACE problems from the study guide. Again, all the problems are good, but I really wanted to highlight those 3. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. See ya.